A modest woman, barred from boarding first class, faced security and mounting humiliation. Then she dialed her billionaire husband, James. "They're refusing me," she said, voice steady, handing her phone to the manager. "Get her off the list," James ordered, "and you're all out of jobs." Laura Bennett navigated JFK Airport with the ease of a seasoned traveler. Unlike the suited executives in polished loafers, Laura, 42, chose comfort. A gray sweater, black jeans, and sneakers. Her auburn hair was tied back, her only adornment a silver wedding band. The terminal buzzed with morning chaos. First-class passengers breezed through priority check-in, while economy lines snaked endlessly. Overhead, digital screens flashed flight times to cities worldwide. The air carried the scent of espresso and pastries from nearby kiosks. Laura approached the Atlantic Skies counter ticket ready. She was eager for this trip. James, 48, was sealing a deal in San Francisco, and they'd planned a rare getaway afterward. "Next, please," called the attendant, a woman in her late 20s, her navy uniform crisp, name tag reading Megan Carter. Laura stepped up, sliding her ticket and ID across the counter. "Morning, Flight 422 to San Francisco, please." Megan's eyes flicked over Laura's casual outfit, lingering on her sneakers with a faint sneer. She studied the first-class ticket skeptically. "How'd you get this ticket, ma'am?" Laura's brow arched. "My husband reserved it." Megan's lips pursed, her tone laced with doubt. "I see." She tapped her keyboard, nails clicking. "There's an issue with your booking. The ticket's first class, but the system's not confirming it." Laura kept her cool. "There's no issue. James verified it yesterday." Megan's smile tightened. "Well, something's off. Do you have the card used for purchase?" "No," Laura said. "It's on my husband's corporate account." Megan's voice turned patronizing. "Ma'am, first-class travel has strict rules." Laura's patience thinned. "I have a valid ticket." Two suited men behind her, their cufflinks glinting, exchanged smirks as they overheard. Megan leaned in, voice low. "Our first-class experience caters to elite clientele. There are standards we uphold." "Excuse me?" Laura's tone stayed even, but her eyes flashed. "I can offer economy," Megan continued, as if granting a favor. "Same destination, different seats." Laura straightened. "I'm sitting in first class as my ticket states." Megan's polite mask slipped. "Ma'am, I don't like your attitude. Want to speak to my supervisor?" "Yes," Laura replied coolly. Megan grabbed the phone, staring Laura down. "David, issue at counter 4. Can you come?" She hung up, smirking faintly. Laura checked her watch. 2 hours until her flight. She knew these disputes could spiral. The line behind her grew, curious onlookers whispering. Megan's smugness grated, but Laura stayed composed. The terminal hummed with activity, travelers rushing past. David Lawson, the supervisor, arrived, his polished shoes clicking sharply. In his late 50s, tall, with graying hair and a tailored suit, his gold pin marked his authority. "What's the issue, Megan?" he asked, voice smooth. Before Megan could speak, Laura interjected. "There's no issue with my ticket. Your staff thinks I don't belong in first class." Lawson's gaze swept over Laura's attire, his expression tightening. "Mrs. Bennett, was it?" "Laura Bennett," she clarified. He nodded, his smile practiced. "I understand your frustration, but we follow protocols." "What protocol questions a valid ticket?" Laura asked. Lawson leaned closer, voice hushed. "We sometimes see irregularities with premium bookings. Unauthorized upgrades, tickets obtained improperly." Laura's jaw clenched. "Are you saying I stole this?" Lawson backtracked. "Not at all, but errors happen. The crowd grew, onlookers nudging each other, sensing drama. "I've been here 15 minutes, Laura said. "Verify my reservation and let me board." Lawson glanced at Megan, who shrugged. "We need more verification," he said. "Perhaps a call to your husband." "This is absurd," Laura snapped. "The ticket's legitimate." Lawson's tone hardened. "Mrs. Bennett, your attitude isn't helping. Provide verification or step aside." Laura stood firm. "I'm not moving." Lawson sighed, signaling a nearby officer. "Security!" A broad-shouldered man, badge reading Officer Hayes, approached, hand resting on his belt, eyes narrowing at Laura. "Is there a problem?" Officer Hayes asked, sizing Laura up. "This passenger's non-compliant, delaying others," Lawson said smoothly. "We may need to escort her out." Laura's cheeks flushed, but her voice stayed level. "I have a valid first-class ticket. They're refusing it because of my clothes." Hayes frowned, unconvinced. "Ma'am, if staff needs verification, comply." "This is discrimination," Laura said sharply. Several bystanders nodded. Lawson's smile turned icy. "That's a serious claim, Mrs. Bennett. Step aside or take economy," the crowd murmured, tension rising. Laura met Lawson's gaze. "Fine, I'll make a call." "That won't change policy," he said, dripping condescension. Laura ignored him, stepping aside as Megan chirped, "Next passenger." Officer Hayes lingered, watching her closely. The suited men behind her now received Megan's warmest smile, her demeanor flipping to fawning professionalism. Laura scrolled her contacts, hitting call. After one ring, a brisk voice answered. "Mrs. Bennett, good morning." "Claire, I need James," Laura said quietly. Lawson smirked, assuming she was bluffing to save face. The phone connected. "Laura, everything okay? You should be boarding soon," James's deep voice said, laced with concern. "They're refusing my first-class ticket," Laura replied, turning from Lawson's prying eyes. "They want verification or an economy seat." A pause. "Did you tell them who you are?" James asked, his tone sharpening. "No, and I shouldn't have to. The ticket's valid. Put me on speaker," he said firmly. "Not yet," Laura said. "Let me handle this." James sighed. "Speaker, Laura, now." She tapped the icon. "You're on speaker," Laura said. Husong Laura stood her ground, the phone's speaker crackling slightly. "Who am I speaking to?" James's voice boomed, commanding attention. Lawson stepped closer, curious. "This is David Lawson, Atlantic Sky's supervisor at JFK. Who's this?" "James Thornton, CEO of Thornton Enterprises, majority shareholder of Pinnacle Ventures, which acquired your parent company last year." Lawson's face paled. Megan, mid-transaction, froze. Even Officer Hayes stepped back. "Mr. Thornton, sir," Lawson stammered. "There's been a misunderstanding." The terminal hushed, all eyes on the unfolding scene. "No misunderstanding," James snapped, his voice like steel. "My wife presented a valid first-class ticket. You humiliated her over her outfit, correct?" The crowd leaned in, whispers rippling. Lawson swallowed hard. "Sir, we have protocols." "Don't lecture me on protocols," James cut in. "I log 200,000 miles yearly with your airline. I know them all. This is discrimination." A bystander gasped, "Thornton Enterprises." Lawson sweated, his confidence crumbling. "Mr. Thornton, let me escort Mrs. Bennett to the lounge immediately." "What I value is respect," James interrupted. "You failed my wife. I want your regional director now." Lawson's hand shook, fumbling his phone. "Sir, Ms. Reynolds isn't here, but I'll contact her." His voice cracked. "Find her," James ordered. The check-in area fell silent, travelers gawking. Laura stood tall, her calm unshaken. Megan's face drained of color, her earlier smugness gone. Officer Hayes edged away, suddenly engrossed in a distant sign. Lawson typed frantically, his authority evaporating under James's command. "I'm texting Miss Reynolds now," Lawson said, voice high-pitched. "She'll call soon." James's tone stayed icy. "While we wait, explain what happened, Laura." Laura met Lawson's panicked eyes. "Megan questioned my ticket's legitimacy, implying I didn't fit first-class standards. When I refused economy, Mr. Lawson called security, threatening removal." Megan shrank behind the counter. Staff whispered, one typing furiously on a tablet. The crowd buzzed, some nodding in support. Laura's steady voice carried, each word landing like a gavel. "I see," James said, his calm menacing. "Mr. Lawson, did you judge my wife's appearance and deny her seat I booked?" Silence gripped the terminal. Lawson's mouth opened, no words coming. Officer Hayes studied the floor. "Mr. Thornton," Lawson croaked, "I deeply regret any misunderstanding. Our training emphasizes service. This isn't our values." A woman in line whispered, "Thornton's wife?" Laura stood resolute, her dignity intact. The crowd's murmurs grew, sensing a reckoning. Lawson's career flashed before his eyes, his bravado gone. A sharp-dressed woman in her late 50s hurried from the airline offices, her face tight with urgency. Her badge read, "Elizabeth Reynolds, Regional Director." Lawson exhaled, relief fleeting. "Ms. Reynolds is here," he announced. She took the phone, her voice steady. "Mr. Thornton, Elizabeth Reynolds, I'm horrified by this. Please accept my apologies." James's tone didn't soften. "I'm listening." Reynolds nodded. "We'll investigate thoroughly. Mrs. Bennett will receive top-tier service. I'll personally escort her to our stellar lounge." "That's a start," James replied. "But I want action now on the staff involved." Reynolds glanced at Lawson and Megan. "Mr. Lawson and Miss Carter will be on administrative leave, effective immediately, pending review." Megan gasped, eyes wide. Lawson's face twisted, but he stayed silent. Reynolds continued. "Mr. Thornton, our CEO will call you today to address this," Laura observed quietly, noting the shift. The same staff who'd scorned her now scrambled to appease James's influence, their arrogance undone. "Ensure it happens," James said. "Laura, are you okay with this for now?" Laura paused, then spoke. "Yes, but I want a written apology sent to every witness here, admitting the discrimination and detailing your corrective steps." Reynolds blinked, then nodded. "Absolutely, Mrs. Bennett, we'll arrange it." A murmur of approval spread. An older man nearby gave Laura a respectful nod. James's voice softened. "My wife's wishes will be met, Miss Reynolds. Don't disappoint me again." The call ended. The terminal's mood flipped. Laura, once a target, now commanded respect. Reynolds gestured toward a frosted glass door. "Mrs. Bennett, the Stellar Lounge is this way. Anything you need, it's yours." Lawson and Megan were ushered toward the offices, faces blank. The crowd parted as Laura moved, whispers trailing her. She felt the weight of their stares, not pity now, but awe. The victory was bittersweet. It hinged on James's name, not her own merit. Still, she walked with quiet strength. Reynolds led Laura past security, apologizing profusely. The Stellar Lounge's opulence greeted them. Plush seats, soft lighting, and attentive staff. Conversations paused as heads turned. News had spread fast. Reynolds seated Laura in a private corner. A server, badge reading "Ethan," appeared instantly. "Mrs. Bennett, welcome. I'm at your service. May I get you something?" "Just water," Laura said, settling in. The server nodded, retreating. Reynolds leaned in. Mrs. Bennett, today's incident is being addressed at the highest levels. Reynolds straightened, her tone earnest. By the time you land, Mrs. Bennett, we'll have new measures in place. Laura held her gaze. This isn't just about me, Miss Reynolds. It's about a system that judges by looks. How many others without powerful husbands face your staff's bias? Reynolds shifted, visibly uneasy. Your point is valid. We'll conduct a full review of our practices. She excused herself to finalize arrangements. Laura's phone lit up with a text from James. You okay? She smiled, typing back. Like I just sparked a corporate storm, Laura texted. Their faces were priceless. James replied instantly, Can't wait to see you in 6 hours. Laura settled into the lounge's plush seat, scanning the room. First-class travelers, who might have judged her earlier, now stole curious glances. Some tapped their phones, likely Googling James Thornton's wife. Ethan returned with her water, presented in a crystal glass on a silver tray. Mrs. Bennett, the captain wishes to greet you personally at boarding. Is that all right? Laura shook her head. No need, Laura said. I'll board like everyone else. Ethan blinked, surprised by her modesty. Of course, ma'am. Laura sipped her water, reflecting on the morning. The discrimination stung, but the swift response gave her hope. Maybe this would change things for others, those without Thornton's clout. The lounge hummed with hushed chatter, eyes still darting her way. She ignored them, focusing on the future. San Francisco James, their rare escape. The incident, though painful, had exposed a flaw. Perhaps her stand would ripple outward. 6 hours later, Laura's flight landed at San Francisco International. As the plane taxied, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Welcome to San Francisco, 2:17 p.m., sunny 70 degrees. A special thank you to Mrs. Laura Bennett Thornton for flying Atlantic skies. It's our privilege. Heads turned, but Laura stared out the window, unfazed. The announcement felt excessive, another overcorrection. She gathered her bag, ready to leave the ordeal behind. The cabin buzzed with whispers as passengers craned to glimpse the woman who'd caused such a stir. As Laura stepped off the plane, the crew lined up, their smiles almost desperate. At the jet bridge, James waited, his presence commanding, but his eyes softened for her. Beside him stood Robert Callahan, Atlantic Sky's CEO, mid-50s, his face a mix of regret and nerves. Mrs. Bennett, Callahan began, offering his hand. I'm deeply sorry for your experience. Laura shook it briefly. Mr. Callahan, I appreciate your effort. James slid an arm around her, his kiss a quiet claim, grounding her amidst the chaos. Robert and I had a thorough talk, James said, voice steady. Atlantic Skies is rolling out bias-free training programs. Callahan nodded eagerly. We are also streamlining complaint processes and creating an independent board to review discrimination cases. Laura raised an eyebrow. And Lawson? Carter? Terminated, Callahan said firmly. Effective immediately. Laura nodded, satisfied but weary. The fight wasn't hers alone. It was for every traveler judged unfairly. James squeezed her hand, his pride clear. Callahan fidgeted, clearly aware of the stakes. The terminal buzzed around them, oblivious to the shift. James leaned in, whispering, He flew in when he heard. Their stock dipped 4 points after a viral post about it. Laura shook her head. All because I wore sneakers instead of heels. No, James corrected softly. Because they thought looks defined value, you showed them otherwise. They moved toward the exit, Callahan trailing, still apologizing. Laura felt the weight of the day lift slightly. The victory wasn't just personal, it challenged a culture. Outside, a black SUV waited, its driver poised to whisk them away. In the car, Laura leaned against James, exhaling. The weirdest part? If they'd just shown basic respect, none of this would have happened. He squeezed her hand. That's how it works. Kindness costs nothing. Arrogance costs everything. Laura gazed out the window, San Francisco's skyline unfolding. The morning's humiliation felt distant now, replaced by a quiet strength. She'd stood her ground, not as James Thornton's wife, but as Laura Bennett, demanding fairness. The world might not see her power, but she'd felt it. Laura's story reminds us to look beyond appearances. True worth isn't in designer labels, it's in dignity, in how we treat others. Have you ever been misjudged or seen someone unfairly treated? Share below. If this tale of justice resonated, like and subscribe for more stories of overlooked people proving their strength. Where are you watching from? Our global community thrives on these moments of truth. Let's keep the conversation going, because real class isn't what you wear, it's how you act. Back at the lounge, before boarding, Laura had sat quietly, processing. The opulent Stellar Lounge with its velvet chairs and gleaming bar felt hollow. The staff's sudden deference wasn't for her, it was for James's influence. Ethan hovered, offering menus, but Laura waved them off. Just privacy, please. He nodded, retreating. She watched the elite travelers, their polished exteriors masking their curiosity. Her phone buzzed again, James checking in. Proud of you, he wrote. Laura smiled, feeling the balance of power shift, if only for a moment. As Laura boarded later, the crew's eagerness was palpable. Mrs. Bennett, welcome, the lead attendant said, her smile overly bright. Laura nodded, taking her first-class seat. The cabin, with its wide leather chairs and personal screens, was a stark contrast to the morning's chaos. A passenger across the aisle, a woman in her 60s, leaned over. I heard what happened. Good for you. Laura smiled faintly. Thank you. The gesture, small but genuine, reminded her why she'd fought, not just for herself, but for others. The flight was smooth, but Laura's mind replayed the terminal scene. Megan's sneer, Lawson's arrogance, Reynolds' scramble. They'd underestimated her, assuming she was powerless. She wasn't. Her stand had forced accountability, maybe even change. As the plane soared over the Midwest, she jotted notes on her phone, ideas for advocating fair treatment in travel. James's wealth opened doors, but her resolve had pushed them wide. The woman next to her glanced over, curious, but Laura kept writing, determined to turn today's pain into something lasting. At San Francisco's airport, the buzz around Laura grew. Passengers from her flight whispered, some snapping discreet photos. She ignored them, focusing on James's familiar figure at the gate. His presence grounded her, a reminder of their shared strength. Callahan, still hovering, promised follow-ups. We'll send the apologies you requested, he assured. Laura nodded. Make sure they're sincere. She wasn't just a passenger now. She was a catalyst. The airline's scramble proved it. One voice, backed by truth, could shake giants. As they left the terminal, James's arm around her, Laura felt the day's tension ease. The SUV's leather seats were cool, the city's golden light streaming through the windows. You didn't just win, James said. You exposed a flaw they can't ignore. Laura nodded. I hope it sticks. She thought of the onlookers at JFK, the woman on the plane, small connections that fueled her resolve. Change wasn't guaranteed, but she'd planted a seed. The car sped toward their hotel, the future unwritten. Reflecting, Laura realized the morning's ordeal had shifted something deeper. It wasn't about the lounge or the apologies, it was about power. Not James's, but hers. She'd stood firm, demanding respect, not as a billionaire's wife, but as a person. The airline's panic, Callahan's flight across the country, the stock dip, they were ripples from her refusal to shrink. She leaned into James, his warmth steadying her. "We're stronger together," she murmured. He kissed her forehead, always. The city gleamed, full of possibility. The story of Laura Bennett teaches us that appearances deceive. A quiet woman in sneakers toppled arrogance with a single call, proving worth isn't in wealth or attire, it's in courage. Her fight wasn't just for a seat, it was for fairness, for every traveler judged unfairly. The airline's reckoning shows power lies in standing firm. Laura's victory, though sparked by James's name, was hers in spirit. She reminded us, never underestimate the quiet ones. Their strength reshapes the world. At their hotel, Laura and James settled into their suite, the bay sparkling outside. Over dinner, they discussed next steps. "I want to push for industry-wide changes," Laura said. "Airlines need to prioritize respect." James nodded. "I'll back you. Thornton Enterprises can amplify your voice." Laura smiled, feeling the weight of possibility. The day's chaos had forged a mission. She wasn't just a passenger, she was a force. Her story, now viral online, inspired others to share their own, building a movement. Online, posts about Laura's stand trended, tagged #travel with dignity. Strangers praised her poise, shared similar stories. "This is why we fight," one wrote. Laura read them, moved. The apologies Atlantic Skies sent to witnesses, as she demanded, were detailed, promising reform. Callahan's call to James confirmed new training was underway. Laura knew it wasn't enough. Change took time, but she'd lit a spark. Her quiet strength, underestimated at first, had shaken an industry. She closed her laptop, ready for the road ahead. Laura's journey shows that one voice can challenge giants. Her refusal to accept bias forced accountability, proving true power lies in dignity, not status. Have you faced judgment for how you look? Seen someone mistreated? Share your story below. If Laura's fight inspired you, like and subscribe for more tales of justice. Tell us where you're from. Our global community grows with every story. Let's honor the quiet warriors who prove that respect, not appearances, defines class. Laura's legacy wasn't in the headlines. It was in the ripples. Every traveler who boarded without judgment, every staff member retrained, owed a debt to her stand. She didn't seek fame, only fairness. Her story, born from a single moment of courage, reminds us the underestimated can change the world. Let's celebrate those who fight for respect, who prove worth isn't in wealth or attire, but in heart. Share, like, and join us for more stories of truth triumphant. Laura Bennett's stand at JFK Airport, a battle sparked by a single sneer, unveils two profound lessons that resonate far beyond the terminal's fluorescent glow. First, dignity demands courage, no matter the odds. When Megan Carter's skeptical gaze dismissed Laura's sneakers and simple sweater, implying she didn't belong in first class, Laura, 42, refused to shrink. Facing David Lawson's icy authority and Officer Hayes's looming presence, she stood firm, her voice steady. "I'm staying put." Her defiance, fueled not by James Thornton's billions but by her own resolve, toppled arrogance. It reminds us that true worth isn't in designer labels or corporate clout. It's in the grit to demand respect, even when the crowd whispers and security hovers. One woman's refusal to accept bias forced Atlantic Skies to rewrite its rules, proving that courage can shift systems. Second, respect is the currency of humanity, costing nothing but worth everything. The airline's error wasn't just a ticketing glitch. It was a culture that judged a 5'4" woman in jeans as lesser. Laura's call to James, his voice slicing through the terminal's hum, exposed this flaw. Kindness costs nothing. Arrogance costs everything, James told her later, as San Francisco's skyline gleamed 3,000 miles from JFK. The stock dip, Callahan's frantic flight, and trending travel with dignity posts were fallout from a simple failure to see Laura's worth. Her fight, backed by a nod from a stranger on the plane, shows respect isn't optional. It's the foundation of fairness, a lesson etched in the Stellar Lounge's silence and the crew's forced smiles. Laura's story, a spark in a 6-hour flight, ignites a truth. Stand tall, honor all, and the world bends toward justice. Have you ever been judged unfairly or seen someone face bias like Laura Bennett did? Share your story below, hit like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring tales of courage and justice. Join our community to uncover powerful lessons on dignity and respect, and let's amplify voices that prove true worth shines beyond appearances. Where are you watching from? Let's connect.